Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the P1 podcast, Hungarian Grand Prix edition. What is going on in 2024 Formula One? We're watching Hungary thinking, it's going to be another one of those podcasts. What a stinker. We had to have one. And to be honest with you, it was the most boring, eventful, drama-filled race I think I've ever seen. It was, wasn't it, Tommy? Just unbelievable. So much to talk about one particular moment.
It was a Drive to Survive classic of who cares what's happening on track, because we'll give you the absolute drama bomb of all drama. Well, not even that, just explosions everywhere of any kind of chaos you could have. I mean, Drive to Survive could literally do the entirety of next season with just that one single Grand Prix weekend, because they literally could. They've got everything they need in that one weekend.
It just all exploded in the last sort of 15 to 20 laps. It was just, okay, let's just turn up the entertainment from 1 to 10 all of a sudden. It came out of nowhere. But right, before we dive into that, we are doing a US and starting in Canada live show tour, and we have tickets available. There will be a link in the YouTube description. There will also be one in our link tree on social media. We'd love to have you come along. Tommy, do you have the locations to hand?
I do.
Can you just share with everybody what date it is and where?
So Toronto is the first one, which will be on the 8th of October. Then we have New York, which will be on the 9th of October. Then we have Chicago, which is the 13th of October. Seattle, the 14th of October. LA, the 16th of October. And then Austin on the 20th of October, which is Grand Prix Sunday after the race.
After the race, and we've made sure that the start of the show is as late as possible. It starts at 9 o'clock in the evening, which should give a lot of people enough time when they are in Austin to come along afterwards. And that would be, I hope we'll have a banger for that one as well. So yes, just please come along. I think New York is actually sold out. So that's something to bear in mind, that we do believe that New York is sold out, but everywhere else still has a few tickets left. So come along. Right. Let's start with my most memorable moment, shall I? Shall we? And it's nothing to do with the team that I'm wearing today.
It's sure Guan Yu's pit stop on lap.
No, it's not, Tommy. It is McLaren team orders. Now, we are recording this podcast fresh. We've done this now for quite a few of the races because, one, it works better for us at the moment, and two, when it is an absolute stone cold banger, we have to just get in front of our microphones and discuss.
And pop off.
McLaren, what was that? How on earth are we coming up off the back of you scoring a 1-2 for the first time in I don't know how long? And I still believe they fumbled the bag. How have they messed up a 1-2? I don't get it. And it all comes down to a very simple decision of McLaren. They were clearly very cautious with everything, right? They wanted to wrap both of their drivers in cotton wool and make sure neither of them could get attacked. So when they decided to pit Lando first, which they did on both occasions, didn't they? They pitted Lando first. The second occasion was obviously the one that caused the blow-up. They were like, no, we need to protect from Hamilton, who I believe was around 6 seconds behind Lando.
Nowhere near.
They gave Lando Norris an opportunity to win the race, which is a mistake. He is second in the championship trying to chase down Max Verstappen. Why would they put themselves in that situation? Why?
The funny thing is, we were watching, obviously, on Twitch, and I said to you, didn't I, that I could see now McLaren giving Lando the better pit stop, doing the undercut because he was catching him. And I said, I reckon they'll undercut him. And you were like, no, surely not. They can't rob Oscar of his first win. And then I said... And then you obviously mentioned, and rightly so, that Hamilton is not in undercut territory, so they didn't even need to do it. And weirdly, they kind of did neither, because they did what I thought was them letting Lando win and being very ruthless and going... And the stupid thing is, right, if they'd have done that, it would have been so unpopular, but you could at least argue why they'd done it, because Lando is a lot higher up in the championship. Max, we'll get onto him later, having an absolute nightmare of a race, falling out with his team. And they're probably thinking, we've got a chance here, even though we have fumbled so many races, and Max has still managed to extend his title lead. And they've put Lando in a situation where you could argue, while incredibly unpopular, and it would have got a lot of heat, they'd have basically gone, well, actually, Lando's our number one driver. He's close in the championship. Max is down the order. This is our chance to bag 25, 26 points, whatever, and close the gap. And instead, they put Lando in the worst possible situation where he managed to lose a race win and be the villain unfairly.
Yeah.
It's literally one of the dumbest decisions I think I've ever seen. This is the thing we said at Silverstone. After every race recently, we've gone, oh, McLaren, how have you managed to screw this up? And they've got maximum points and still managed to screw it up.
I just don't understand why they have not been very clear on the radio when they pitted Lando first to say, right, Lando, we are going to undercut with you to make sure we protect from Hamilton. You will get track position on Oscar. You will need to give it back.
And confirm you agree with this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Lando, we haven't heard anything from you, mate. So can you just confirm? Yeah. Because that was the thing, right? Lando had said nothing. And then they had to do a little radio check to make sure he could hear. It was saying about the tyres. It was evidence to me that McLaren aren't ready to win a world championship right now. Like they are, again, and it goes back to my previous point from a few podcasts ago, they're acting like underdogs still. Like this is fine. They secured a 1-2. The points are in the bag. It ended in the way it should have, but in such a messy way that it can leave now Lando feeling hard done by. Yes, he's cashed in some brownie points with Oscar, but what grinds my gears the most, right, and we're probably going to talk about this for a while, is the emotional blackmail that McLaren were doing. It was embarrassing. Like, it was honestly a stage. I was expecting McLaren at one point to go, Lando, think about Oscar's sad face tonight when he hasn't won the race. Think about his family. Think about Oscar's mum and what she's going to tweet. Like, it was almost that level of just trying everything to tug at his heartstrings to be like, no, just please just cover over our mistake.
They almost tried to distract him at one point by saying something like, oh, be careful.
Tyres turn 4, tyres turn 7, tyres turn 11. Like, they spoke for a good 20 seconds at one point, it felt like, which is definitely into a braking zone at some point. Bizarre.
Very, very, very bizarre. Like, it could have so easily been avoided, which is the most frustrating thing, but it just played out so embarrassingly for McLaren because nowadays everything does get, it's not even just drive to survive afterwards, you know. We get all these team radios and it was just constant radio after radio after radio of them just arguing and being silly. And the most stupid thing is, however, you know, these love or hate drivers, and a lot of people they're more on the side of hate, but it's because they are ruthless and they win, and that's why they are. Like Ferrari with Michael Schumacher made some very unpopular calls with fans, and now you look back at it and go, well, no one cares. You look at Schumacher's wins and his titles. Same with Max Verstappen. He's not there to make friends. We'll get onto him later because he wasn't making many friends, even with his own team. But he's not there to be popular. He's there to win races. And McLaren, maybe it is a case of, like you say, them being the underdogs or them being this like, oh, we're the team everyone loves and our drivers always get driver of the day and we've got like loads of amazing fans and all this kind of stuff. And they don't want to be the bad guys. But sometimes you have to be the bad guys. And unfortunately, you do sometimes have to be the bad guys and ruthless to win races because it is elite sport and it's very difficult to win. And you sometimes have to be a bit of a beep to take victories. And McLaren, for whatever reason, seemed to just dilly-dally around the thing. You've seen so many times where like a Toto or Christian Horner would get, or Jean Todt back in the day of like, radio, do this now, do it.
Yeah.
And it's done.
But that didn't happen, Did it. Let's get into the first question. Aliush Agari asks, why is McLaren having a podcast on the radio? Maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're launching a new McLaren Unboxed podcast live from the cars. Look, Formula One teams don't want to do this at all. They keep the communication to an absolute minimum. We'll talk about it after the race. But they had to have it all out there just purely because they hadn't structured the way they wanted to win that race. I
can't believe it. I still can't get over it. It's so bad.
It's just ridiculous. That I cannot believe they treated especially when you think that Lando is the number one at McLaren. It's not clear roles, but you expect Lando to be the team leader because he's been there longer and he's always had this love affair with McLaren. But he wasn't treated that way. So you do start to wonder if they continue to have these weird moments. Does Lando go, are you going to treat me how I should be treated? Do I deserve this? And then you start to have this relationship between the team actually break down a little bit. And Lando's love of McLaren starts to dissipate if Oscar's being given these, he's being told to make these drastic calls that wasn't his fault.
This is the thing, right? And I'll say this now because I don't think there's a question about it later. Lando will get a lot of hate for this, and he absolutely shouldn't, because it is all on McLaren. It is 100% on McLaren. And what I think is even harsher on Lando, and I will admit I am one of these people that has been maybe critical of Lando and saying that he doesn't have that kind of like scare factor that I think we mentioned it, didn't we, in one of the podcasts earlier, that he kind of needs that ruthless edge to him if he wants to be one of the greats like Max Verstappen, Michael Schumacher. Like, these drivers, they're not there to be popular or make friends, they're there to win championships and win races. And Lando was like, damned if he did, damned if he didn't, because he was so unfairly put in that situation. He didn't even need to be put in that situation in the first place. He could have just been second, well done, Oscar, applaud, whatever. But the fact that they put him in a situation where he had to give up a race victory while Max is going off the road, and because if Max had crashed, 25 points in Lando's favour, and I know Max has got a massive lead, but you'd be, and you tweeted about this, if Lando, I know it's a big if, but if he loses the championship by 7 points now, they look like absolute idiots. And Lando, when I was watching that, and Lando defying the orders, while everyone was having a go at him going, oh, Lando, it's Oscar's win, he deserved it. And that is true, but also Max Verstappen. I remember Max Verstappen saying no on the radio when he was at Toro Rosso to let Carlos Sainz through for like a P7 or something.
Well, Perez in Brazil.
And Perez in Brazil.
The championship.
Yeah, exactly. He'd never do that. So, and this is something that Lando's been criticised for, of being like, oh, before he got that win, Lando no wins. Oh, Lando's too soft, all this kind of stuff. And then when he's finally kind of, no, I don't want, like, I'm in the championship fight here. Why am I having to let my teammate through? You should have just pitted him first, and actually showing a bit of like a ruthless side. Unfortunately, yeah, like it comes back to like bite him. And maybe McLaren should have even just been at that point and gone, this is going to be really unpopular, but you're probably right, Lando. We will just do this and face the music, because that might have actually been the best thing to do in the end. I know it's really unpopular, and I, for one, wanted Oscar to win, but Formula One, it's not about who has the most fans. It's about winning at the end of the day.
Lando deserves 0 stick for the way he drove in that race, because he, one, did not agree to the swap. There was no communication where he went, yeah, fair enough, McLaren, cool, yeah, you've undercut me, I'll give Oscar back the place. There was none of that. He even argued with them and said, well, I would have undercut him anyway, because if I'm trying to win the race, I would have wanted to undercut him. So he was plenty of very fair things that Lando said. Like when he was in the lead, he then said, okay, all right, I'll let him through if he catches me, which is absolutely fair enough. And he drove away and extended his lead, even though he had slightly more worn tyres. So anybody giving Lando stick for that is utterly outrageous, because in the same breath, there'll be people going, he hasn't got the tenacity, he hasn't got that Max Verstappen streak in him where he'll just win and try and win the championship no matter what the cost is.
Yeah.
And he was convinced up until whatever lap, was it lap 68 he let him through? up until lap 68, he was going to win that Grand Prix because otherwise, if he'd have thought back in lap 50, I am going to give Oscar the position back, he would have done it then and there, because then he has 20 laps to try and win the Grand Prix. Instead, he gets brutally just
Like I say, he's getting blackmailed by McLaren on the radio.
Bombarded by his own team that's supposed to be this sidekick, the supporter. And then eventually he's almost just pushed into submission.
It's lose-lose. It was lose-lose
really
for
sad.
everyone.
Because not just with that, and I think we'll just tie in now the next question from P1 Patreon member Sir Brienne, who asks, as a McLaren fan, after a McLaren 1-2, why do I feel like crying for all the wrong reasons? There's so many factors to this. And another thing, I know we're just kind of constantly going on about this, but it is literally the biggest part of the race by a country mile, is that it took away from Oscar winning as well. Lando's obviously indecisiveness, which is absolutely fair enough. He's sat in the car going, what do I do? I'm second in the championship. Max is having a terrible race. Do I win this race? Do I not? And then he's got all of these factors. He then lets Oscar through with only a couple of laps to go. Oscar then probably feels guilty and all of these other emotions of, wow, I've just been let through with a couple of laps to go. How does that make me look? I couldn't catch him. And it's just this horrible situation for a guy that's winning his first Grand Prix.
And won it brilliantly as well.
He won it brilliantly.
He would have won it absolutely brilliantly. He got ahead at the start. We were all expecting his tyres to fall off, like we've said so many times on this podcast that's been a trend in Oscar Piastri's race, and he kept it in. He was going to win brilliantly, and instead, he's got the win. But no one will remember this race now as Oscar Piastri brilliantly managing his tyres, getting a fantastic start and putting one over on his teammate. It would be remembered, that was the race that Lando let him through when he was getting bombarded with messages. And it's not fair at all to discredit Oscar in any way, because if all comes down to just pitting Oscar first, everything's gone. Like, it's ridiculous.
And the most heartbreaking thing was such a subdued team radio message from Oscar after he won his first Grand Prix. He made it sound like he just topped FP3. Like, he was like, yep, great performance, guys. I know that Oscar isn't a, woo, oh my God, wow, oh my God, is that Tom Bellingham? Like, he's not like that. But at the same time, I think he would have celebrated a lot harder had it just been a simple run to the end. Because he probably worried for about 15 laps he wasn't going to win. So, and then
he's driving through the gravel and all sorts. Like, imagine if he'd have
binned it, thrown
it off the road trying to catch Lando. Like, could have easily happened. So, ridiculous.
Utterly bizarre. So let's go to this next question, which is quite interesting, from Jace VI. How would P1 Formula One team handle this? What is an easier debrief? Throwing away Piastri's race or Lando, Oscar is faster than you? Well, they tried every trick in the book before saying please Lando, oh my god, please just slow down, because they were doing the whole, all right, we need to save tyres, we need to turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, you're too fast everywhere. They were trying to bait Lando into being caught by Oscar 100%.
It's wild.
But how would we have dealt with this?
How has anyone ever gone on the radio to try and stop their own car winning?
It's insane, isn't it? Can you imagine if they distracted Lando enough so that he just goes off?
Goes off in the wall.
Like, it could have been even worse, which is utterly outrageous to even say out loud. They just secured a 1-2.
Even worse than a 1-2.
Yeah, it's mad. But how would we have handled it? I think you just don't give Lando the undercut. You literally don't. He was about 3 seconds behind.
Lando said it himself on the radio. He said, well, you should pit him first then. That was literally the decision all you had to do.
And then, okay, all right, we've given Lando the undercut. Let's pit Oscar the next lap so he has a chance to keep the lead. Oh, no. Oscar might come out side by side with Lando. Right, let's wrap them in cotton wool again. We'll let Lando definitely take the lead, and then we'll deal with it then. Even though Lando's not agreed to any of the things that we've just done out there. It's
ridiculous. And my heart says how you'd have handled it. I think, well, there's two parts to this question. There's how would have handled it when you have that initial first, before anything's happened, like you said. The simple, easiest thing in the world is let it, pit Oscar first. He's deserved to win the race. If you are going to carry on as this team with two equal drivers that can win the race and you both let them fight, which is what McLaren have done in the past and will hopefully continue to do, then that's what you do. But once they'd done that move with Lando, it's going to be very unpopular, but maybe they should have just owned it. And because they've lost either way, and they're getting just as much heat for doing this as they would being 7 points better off with Lando, who's the guy going for the championship. Now, you can laugh all you like about, oh, he's so far behind in the championship. He's not. McLaren have had the best car again. They've come to a completely different circuit, Silverstone, which they could have easily won, and they've won easily. We'll get into Max Verstappen. That Red Bull is it's not like they are nowhere near anywhere near dominant again, and it's almost like not a surprise that Max isn't winning now. So you've got to make the most of it. Simple as that.
Exactly. And they did not, even though they've secured a 1-2. Anyway, next question. B1 Patreon member Miss Sophie Walsh. Anyone else feeling that Oscar didn't actually win that race?
Yes and no.
I mean, he did win the race, and it was an amazing race from Oscar, and we will continue to back that side of things, that, yes, he did a great job. I see what you mean. It's the emotion, right? We didn't have that sort of crescendo of him winning, and I think that's what was sapped from everything, really, right? It just
There's
felt
needless
flat.
Controversy over it's a terrible way to, not a terrible way to win your first race, because, and this is the most annoying thing about it, like I said earlier, absolutely deserved to win the race. It wasn't like he led into turn one and there was a decision of whoever leads into turn one wins the race, and Lando was all over the back of him for lap after lap, did a brilliant move or something, and then they've switched it back, and then you kind of go, oh, well, Oscar didn't really deserve it. He's just been gifted a win. He did deserve to win, like 100%, because he was the better driver throughout the race. But they just put themselves in this absolutely stupid situation. And yeah, it's gonna go on for a long time, and it's put needless pressure on McLaren when they've secured a blooming 1-2, like the thing that we've been saying that they need to start delivering. They have, and the question is still, for FFS McLaren, basically. So,
Exactly. So do we think we've covered McLaren now? Do we think we've...
I think we could go on about it for another 4 years, but
I think so as well.
I think it is covered. Like, I've said everything that I want to say about it in terms of just the fact that how has this happened, I think is my biggest takeaway from it. How they've managed to get away with, they've got maximum points, and it just feels like I think they've done, I think another thing here is they've done damage to the driver relationship and going into the future. And we'll get on to Max now, but Max is almost like probably in a weird way going, oh, excellent, these two fighting, that's exactly what I need. If they've got the fastest car, they can start squabbling and taking points off each other. That's exactly what I want. Thank you very much.
I guess the side of things now to try and get some sort of positive for Lando, McLaren, that whole relationship, and there's a question I posed to Twitch was about, okay, Lando's done this now. Could he see the dividends of 7 points or more? Should he continue to fight Max in the championship? And Oscar Piastri is like, especially if Oscar's getting better and better, right? And there's more and more chance now that Oscar will be ahead of Lando in a race. So I am going to pose a slightly sort of more positive light on the fact that when it comes to that teammate relationship, I think it's fine, right? There's no beef between the two of them. It's Lando with the team and maybe even Oscar with the team. So it could be, later down the line, Lando will reap the rewards of a fantastic teammate if, of course, Oscar isn't in the championship fight. So
yeah,
there could be a positive there.
Yeah, very true. Like, I guess Oscar can be there to help him, unlike Perez. Although, ironically, Perez probably finished closer to Max than he has after all that in a weekend in a long, long while.
Absolutely. Let's go now to your most memorable moment, Tommy. Hit me.
My most memorable moment is kind of two things. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of Max Verstappen versus everyone, because it wasn't just the fact that in all this chaos of McLaren that DTS needed any more spice, that they got a Hamilton and Verstappen collision, but Verstappen was also at war, probably had more of a rivalry with his own team than he did with Hamilton in that race, despite crashing with Hamilton. So he was raging, and I think while I'm sure we'll get into this, that while certain individuals believe that it's that he was a naughty boy and staying up playing computer games like a child, how dare he, and not that he's a great sim racer and takes it just as seriously as Formula One and enjoys doing it, and you can applaud a lot of his skill and brilliance because he's also so good at that, and that he lives and breathes racing. But I think the frustration has come from the fact that this Red Bull is slipping further and further into the pack, and he's now not just clinging on to McLarens, he's racing Ferraris, he's racing the Mercedes, and while he's got this amazing championship lead at the moment, we're only halfway through the season, and he's kind of fighting for fifth position. And you can say, oh, he's a sport child, oh, he's banging his steering wheel, how dare he. He's a Formula One driver and he wants to win, and that's why he's won so many races, because he's not there to finish fifth, he's not there to finish second. So that's why he was so frustrated, and he was driving like an absolute, well, Max of old, Mad Max.
My goodness me, yeah, Max Verstappen, he was out of sorts, I think, today. He was definitely angrier than usual. Yeah, there was a lot of talk, obviously, about it being because he had a late bedtime. And I'm like, look, listen, this guy is a gamer. This is not the first or last time that he's gone to bed late and then gone and had a race. He did the 24 hours of blooming Spa, didn't he? And then won that. And it has to be more, as you say, Tommy, about the car. The car is not there anymore. And there are plenty of races to go. And Max is so hardwired into winning. And he's not had a dominant car now for a while. Like, we've already said how many times McLaren have fumbled the bag and could have won the last however many races. And I think Max is feeling that pressure, for sure. Like, he was certainly out of sorts on the team radio. And, you know, I can't believe GP called him childish. That is absolutely wild. And clearly Red Bull had a little bit of enough there as well. So I wonder if there is some things going on in the background. Of course, GP and Max's relationship is very blunt. They will just say how it is with each other, and that's why they work so well together. But you do wonder where this extra frustration has come from. But he's an elite sportsman. It's not because he's gone to bed a bit late and been playing games.
I know, it's absolutely, that is a ridiculous
of him being
narrative
online. I'm like, bruv, come on.
That is classic. That is classic, like, spinning it exactly the way you want based on a narrative, because that screenshot of him, like, in the middle of the night, after Imola, like you say, he won the 24 hours of Spa, and it wasn't, oh, Max almost lost the win to Lando, he should have gone to bed earlier. It was, oh, Max lives and breathes motorsport, and it's in his blood, and he's going off winning sim races while everyone else is on holiday. So this is why Max is the best. So you can't use it as a, this is why Max is the best, and then when he has a bad race, it's like, oh, he should change. It's almost in a weird way, like, slightly different, but kind of the same with Lewis Hamilton. When he had an off day, when he was dominating, it was all like, oh, why is he doing a fashion show? And it's like, no. It
was anything that could be seen as like a quantifiable reason when it's not as simple as that, right? No. Like it's, anyway, we move on, and hopefully Max will have a good night's sleep for the next race, and he'll be...
or he's doing... he's about to go on iRacing around the Hungaroring and just, you know, like when people lose a football match and then they go on FIFA and win like 100-0 against their rival. That's what Max is going to do right now. while the adrenaline's still pumping, he's like... But
the thing is, right, with this whole... Like, Max has always been like this. Like, it's not as if... this is such a crazy turn of what he's usually like. He's like an Alex Albon. He's so calm and lovely and humble. No, Max is ferocious. That guy just says what he thinks. So it's not like it's such a drastic change from what we usually see from him. It was just a little bit more communicative, and like we're all human at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. And what I will say is GP, while you can look at that and go, oh, it's wild that and it is true that they're like falling out, they have an incredible relationship as like a F1 driver and an engineer, because GP knows Max exactly, like, and he can give him a bit of sass back. He can, and you look at other teams. This goes right back to McLaren, right? With the they're shouting at Lando on the radio, or when it was Xavi with Leclerc, and we're all going like, why are they arguing and all this kind of stuff, and they're not communicating properly. Max and GP, for all the like bickering, they're like a married couple bickering, where it's kind of like they are perfect for each other in that way as well. So it works really well, and I think that's what is so good about that relationship there. That GP knows exactly, even if Max is absolutely raging and going to call him a F and whatever and goodness knows what, that nothing's personal. Like, that's just how Max is, and GP is the perfect kind of race engineer to control him and get the best out of him. So, like you say, that is Max Verstappen. That's how he drives anyway.
Yeah,
and
they're just like brothers, right? They just and to be fair, when I first saw that relationship, I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work. But you kind of need that someone who's just going to tell Max as it is, and it doesn't come across great, I guess, on the team radio when you're engineering.
But Max is that kind of person as well. Like, he just says it how it is, and probably quite refreshing in a way for him. So
exactly. So the next question is from Blash Drill. Max to Mercedes during the summer break.
It's a bit extreme.
I love it. Like, we've had one little Mad Max road rage, and it's right. He's leaving again. That's it. He's gone. No, I think we can sort of, in my opinion, squash this. I don't think, at least not because
not in the
of
summer
Hungary.
break.
Yeah. Imagine. Oh yeah, I haven't even read that part. I just said I was responding.
Oh,
to
you're
Max
talking
Mercedes.
about next year
During the summer break. No, let's come on.
Yeah, how does
can you
that
imagine?
work? Everyone
He
starts
changes
moving
team.
over early. And then Hamilton goes to Ferrari, and then Sainz just has to sit on the sidelines for half.
But
a
it
year,
might
like,
be a small little brick in his sort of, piles of which one should I go to, not in the summer break, but in the future, perhaps, if it starts to break down a little bit again. But I don't think you can be that knee-jerk, to be honest with you.
No, it does make you wonder if there's a little bit of... He has been a bit more critical of Red Bull, but I think Max has always been like that anyway, that he's one of those drivers that, his way of kind of being like, I need to G up my team and say he doesn't want to settle for anything less than perfection, and that's why they've been so good, because he's just last year, the whole we can't win every race, and almost did. That's not happening this year, so they are Max's expectations that he doesn't want to be. He doesn't even want to be leading the title by however many points he's now, like 75 or whatever. Like, that's not good enough for him. He needs to be winning every single race. And that's now 3 in a row that he's not won, which is quite a mad thing to happen, actually.
Yeah,
but three...
giving out double points for predictions once upon a time, and now
exactly.
Look at us.
And three in a row that wasn't Lando Norris, which again comes back to, like, is it... Max is there to be got now. Someone has to do it.
Yeah, and as of recording right now, we haven't had an investigation answer, because obviously he is under investigation for the collision with Hamilton. So we will obviously reflect on that maybe in driver ratings or whatnot, but I think that will probably be a 5 second. Well, it'll be a 10-second one. I don't get 5s for crashes.
Although,
anymore,
interestingly, he has his engine penalty to take, so he might go for the just double whammy and start from the pit lane and do his the classic last to first Max Verstappen challenge.
Not anymore, mate.
And this is what I mean.
That's
what I mean. It is probably going to be it's not going to be anywhere near as easy as it used to be.
Certainly not. P1 Patreon member TVR Driver. 7 different race winners so far. Popular TV show, Hollywood movies, US popularity. Are we seeing the golden age of F1? all right, let's relax ourselves. We're having a great season, but it's still not close in the championship as of right now. But it's teed up beautifully. We're getting great episodes. You know, we're getting great episodes of Formula One. Each race weekend at the moment, we don't know who's going to be fastest. We don't know how it's going to end. What drama is going to happen this time? It just seems like there's always something that we've got to talk about at the moment, which is brilliant. If we had these regulations for another 3 or 4 years, I'd be arguing absolutely we are in the golden age, and we've got what a few years ahead of us. I think 2025 is obviously set up beautifully as well. But no, we're not doing too bad, are we? Considering, as we always say, we go back to Bahrain, what that looked like ahead of us.
Yeah, you go back to Bahrain and seeing, seeing what it was, and yeah, Max won the race by 22 seconds from Perez. Sainz was third, 25 seconds off. And we're going, oh no, he can't win every race. And now we have had 7 winners, which I think you'd have been people would have laughed their head off if you'd have said we'd have had 4 different winners this year, never mind 7. Because other than Perez, everyone in Formula A has won a race now, which is insane. But the thing is that, and this is funny how it kind of works with Max and stuff, and this is why we don't have a title fight. You've got Max there with 7 wins, I think it is, and then Lando's won 1, Charles won 1, Carlos has won 1, Oscar's won 1, Lewis has won 1, George.
Yeah,
everyone's won 1 race. No one's got to 2 race wins yet, and they're all sharing the wins between them. And this is what's helping Max's, I guess, hold on the championship, even though that Red Bull isn't where it should be.
No, it's not. He was not happy at all with his car today, saying he couldn't turn it, couldn't do anything with it, and
blaming the strategy, which has normally been so good. He was very critical of that.
Because he was undercut with that, and just not a happy bunny.
Oh, he should have gone to bed earlier, shouldn't he, the naughty boy?
Next question. Kyle Drives _ Does Hungary deserve to be on the calendar with modern F1 cars? Yeah.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't a great race this time out, but we have had really good races around here. And this is what we said on the run-up to this weekend. Like, it does provide... It's basically, you need something weird to happen, and it's a different kind of race to the others where you're side by side and this, that, and the other. But if you have someone leading that is unexpected, you've got an interesting race ahead of you. I wouldn't get rid of Hungary at all. I quite like the track, actually. I think it's fun to watch. It's unique. It doesn't feel like a modern day built on a flat piece of land trying to make millions and billions. It's a proper racetrack, and I like that about Hungary. And I would change maybe a few things, like the braking zone into turn 1 is just a little bit... It's not enough to outbrake your opponents a lot of the time, but that sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4 is
that's why
quite
Max
cool
couldn't
to
get
watch.
it done, wasn't it? Yeah, otherwise he'd have... I'm blaming turn 1, definitely
Yeah.
that he was raging.
No,
not actually spoken
nice.
about really him crashing into Hamilton, have we?
No,
which is
not
wild
at all.
in this podcast. But just a quick one to cover the Hungary thing. Yeah, it does deserve to be on it. It's a world championship. I say it about Monaco, but even more true with this, that races should be different. I like that the calendar has a track like Monza and a track like Hungary where they're polar opposites and everything in between. And that's also probably helping the fact that we've had 7 different winners this year, because if you all went to the same track and you did the same race every week, you'd get this pretty much always the same result. So that makes it interesting. But yeah, I'm still like, actually, yeah, I've not put this in the sheet, but Hamilton and Verstappen, how on earth has Verstappen's car survived when you look at the screenshot of him looking like a Rocket League car, like flying through the air? Like, it's mad. Like, that's definitely ending up in funniest tweets if someone's not done that yet. But...
I'm sure they would have made some of that. But yeah, the fact that his car continued. You've seen cars break in a lot easier fashion than that.
Well, Lando and how was Lando and Verstappen's contact at Austria put them almost both out the race, and then that one, while Max flies up, it's like, yeah the car's fine.
His Pirelli car's like, all good, mate. No, I'm fine. I'll carry on. No worries. Like literally just went flying over Hamilton. It's mad. And maybe could be quite important. Of course, Lando not winning the race, but also Max finishing the race after that. Very interesting drive from him. Could well be. And people are saying, like, oh, it's not going to happen. Oh, yeah, you think it's going to be a championship fight. McLaren have been the quickest car, or at
Every
least
race now,
on
really.
par with Red Bull for the last 7 or 8 races. This is championship on, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're going to have to beat Verstappen, and they're going to have to stop messing up with their team radio calls, but it is on. We've got enough races for this to be overturned.
What race was that? Half the season, is it? So
Just
literally,
past,
there's
I
half
think.
the season. Yeah, just past half the season. So absolutely can be done. They just McLaren need to deliver. I think what will be fascinating is when we get to the end, if that gap is 25, 30 points, we'll be going, yeah, McLaren should have won that. Not even just the thing that happened today with the 7 points. I think we'll look, if it does indeed go to this where it's maybe 30, 40 points that Max is only winning by, we'll go, oh, look at Silverstone, look at Austria, look at all these races Montreal, where they should have maybe got it.
Exactly. I hope not for McLaren fans. I hope you do at least provide a fight, but I guess the closer you get, the more disappointed you might be. So we'll see.
Yeah, true.
Anything else to reflect
Said like a
on?
true Ferrari fan.
Hey, look, Charles Leclerc had a great race. She can shut up. Let's go to biggest winner then, shall we? And I think it's absolutely crazy that we are not going to say McLaren for them scoring a 1-2.
It's quite funny. You could actually argue McLaren for both biggest winner and biggest loser for this.
Yeah.
Could they be the first team ever to get
Ever
both?
to secure both. I mean, it's the only way I think you could actually do that. Who's a big winner?
Perez?
I mean, you'd say that
In a weird
with
way.
A joke, but in
It's
some
not
ways,
actually that bad,
he
yeah,
had a
in
clean
some ways.
race and finished 7th, and it was a confidence builder for him. Of course, Hamilton scoring a podium was a pretty good drive. Well, I think it has to be Piastri, doesn't it?
Piastri, yeah.
He drove incredibly well, so yeah, I'm going to go Piastri.
Yeah, Piastri.
Okay, biggest loser?
McLaren.
McLaren.
In a weird way.
Who else lost? Alpine.
Alpine again.
My God, mate. What have we done? What have we done to them? They are so finished again for some reason. They've lost the pace that they were starting to get, gone again.
Yeah, I think Alpine is shocking. But based on how well they'd done, and we thought that they were going to be ahead of Aston Martin. Yeah, probably it is Alpine actually.
I think we want to shout out Tsunoda as well for finishing 9th in the RB.
Yes.
I'm surprised you haven't spoken about your GOAT, who obviously crashed in quality.
I know. Anyone would think I'm Christian Horner just ignoring Tsunoda's good drive.
Unbelievable. So I thought I'd highlight that for sure.
Yeah, it was. He only just beat Stroll, actually. That must have been close to the
Stroll
line.
beat your GOAT as well, Alonso. Stroll's actually doing a really quiet, good job now. It has to be said. Right. He's not making any headlines. Doing all right. He's beating your guy, bro.
No, I know. And like Alonso, I've seen some videos like circulating where he's like literally like throwing his stuff down when he's getting weighed in the.
He doesn't.
I think he's ready for one last. Let's nuke one last team before I retire.
Right, let's get into our predictions that we made then coming into this weekend. And the scores are 31-30 to Tommy. So Tommy is in the lead at the moment. Right, biggest good surprise. I went for Charles Leclerc. I think that's a very solid P4 after being lapped in 3 of the last 4 Grand Prix. Beat Verstappen. It's biggest good surprise.
Yeah, it is. It's annoying, but you're right.
It's annoying. That's crazy. Thank you, mate. Thank you for P4 for my favourite driver is annoying for you. That's
I know. I went for Alex Albon, which he kind of did neither. He didn't flop or do particularly great. So I
he
can't
was not happy with his team, though, was he? He was not happy with his team, saying they're indecisive. So no points for Albon. Biggest flop, I went for Lance Stroll, and nope.
He beat Alonso.
He beat Alonso, so if anything, that's minus points for me. And then you?
So I went for Ferrari, and I'm not claiming it, but I'm going to explain my
hype.
No, yeah. So my reason was that they would basically like be hyped up that they're going to be like 1-2 like they were, and both be on the podium like because it's Monaco and all this kind of stuff. And my theory was that they'd be slower than McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull, which they were. But I can't claim a flop because they've actually like got P4 and P6. So that's annoying.
That, bro.
Again, annoying.
Okay, pole position. I went for Max Verstappen. Nope.
No.
And you went for?
I went for George Russell.
And where did he qualify?
Second, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, close. Maybe on the if it was a reverse grid, maybe.
Oh, don't you laugh! Well. I've just seen.
Wait, what? No, shut up.
Just seen the next bit. Oh, amazing!
Here we go. What's the next bit then? The top three.
Yeah.
In third position, I went for Charles Leclerc.
I went for Lewis Hamilton. Get in.
Oh, you complete.
This is the most task failed successfully top three ever.
What the hell was that?
God.
Wait, sorry, what was that laugh? Mate, you sound like a squeaky toy. I've just sworn on the podcast. What am I doing? You've just sent my brain... What was that?
We're on Twitch.
You literally just sounded like a dog squeaky toy. I'm so hot.
I am so warm. I think I ran out of air mid-laugh.
That was amazing. Oh my God. People need to listen to that again. Okay, second place I went for Lando, which is correct.
Yep. Me too.
Well done. And then first place I went for Max Verstappen.
No, nowhere near. And I went for George Russell, which was close, but no cigar.
Very close. You did a good race, though. Scored some points, at least.
I should have gone for Mac's biggest flop. I said no podium, and I wasn't there, but I didn't cash in.
One crazy prediction. I went for 3 or more DNFs. No.
Was it just Gasly in the end?
Yeah, it was just Gasly. Again.
Ooh. And I went for Max doesn't extend his championship lead, which that's a point. Lovely stuff.
Well done, Tommy. Congrats. I think you're now 2 ahead, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
After that. So, great. Really happy. And finally, 3 crazy predictions from you lot. Lee Boy 910, double points for VCarb. Nope, only one of them. Law VSX, Oscar Piastri gets his first win.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable. What
Fair
a
play.
prediction that is. Well done, Law. And then finally, Aidan with Aston Martin podium. No.
I mean, that would be a miracle.
Well, there you go. We're done. Tommy, final thoughts, please, sir, after a crazy Hungarian Grand Prix.
My word, I love F1. Just, yeah, it's awesome. And it's moments like that where even when you have a race where, a lot of people moan about like, off-track drama and stuff. And I think we've had a great mix of both this season. That, you can have a race like Silverstone, where you get incredible racing and it's actually like on the track drama. And then you can have this where it's over the radios and all the narratives of kind of drivers and teams and stuff, drama as well. So, yeah, just absolutely loving it right now.
Loving the F1.
Hope you are too.
Absolutely, we all are. So thank you, everybody. Lots of love. Nice to see you all, whether it be at Formula E recently or in the Twitch stream or all that sort of stuff. Really appreciate, once again, the love and the support. And lots to talk about. We've got another race week literally tomorrow, Belgian Grand Prix. So looking forward to that. Tommy, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. See you soon. Lots of love. Bye.